So you mentioned this at the beginning of our video call. You talked about how you felt like there was going to be a red tsunami. Okay, so let's just speculate and let's say that we take back the Senate and the House, right? What, in your opinion, should be the Republicans' top priority in addition to what we just finished adding on as far as, one thing is the people and what they need, and another thing is, in addition to that, the responsibility and the roles of our elected officials. So in addition to that, what else do you think that they should focus in on?
So this is me just being, this is my emotional response. I would love for them to impeach Joe Biden. I mean, that's going to be the number one thing I want to see, because, you can't impeach Trump twice for bullshit reasons and put that man through hell. And Joe Biden has done things that we know about on camera, like the quid pro quo with Ukraine, where he said that he was going to fire them if they investigated his son or something. It's like, that was a very blatant, obvious on camera. We can all see it and watch it with our own eyes. So I just want to see some equal accountability both ways. And to me, that would be really the number one thing. The second thing is I really want to see them get inflation under control. I think if they could kind of find a way to do that, that would be an amazing thing for the country. And then I think the third thing would be to keep pushing more towards a pro-life future for America. And we made some progress when they overturned Roe v. Wade and handed it back to the states. But I would like to see some kind of limit to abortion. Again, there are a lot of Americans that are pro-choice. The average American does believe in abortion up until a certain point. The problem is a lot of these leftists want abortion until birth. And that's the thing, is like they've gone so extreme at that. It's like the Republicans, I think, need to fight to get term limits, whether that's 16 weeks. I think it should be never. I think once a child is conceived, you should not be able to terminate a life. That's my opinion. But if you are going to have abortion in this country, and it is something that the people want, put some reasonable limits on it. Don't allow abortions past like 10 weeks or 12 weeks or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because, you go to jail for killing a bald eagle. You go to jail if you kill a turtle egg on the beach. But yet you kill a baby and you're applauded by the leftists and they go, women's rights, you do you, girl. It's just like, how do we get to that point? It's criminal to kill an animal, but it's celebrated.
It's a huge brainwash that the left has done when it comes to abortion. And I've shared this in my previous videos. I am a Christian, but I have not always been a Christian, right? I became a Christian at 30. Prior to that, I was an atheist. Throughout my entire teenage years growing up, I was an atheist, but I was always against abortion because it did not make sense that they would not classify the baby as life because it wasn't born, but yet we're flying to the moon, we're flying to Mars, we're trying to find a single-celled organism and calling it alien life. I found that to be a huge contradiction in just common sense. I was always against abortion, even as an atheist. So, it just, again, apples to apples comparisons. How can we make that and come up with a different conclusion,
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. And I used to be pro-choice. I used to be a pro-choicer. And, just common sense prevailed and logic prevailed. And I realized that it's pretty demonic and evil to be stomping out life, especially when you look at the history of the industry, when it's a very racist, eugenics-based industry. That's what it started as with Margaret Sanger. And I'm happy to see that Kanye West has been kind of sharing those facts now, because he's going to wake up a lot of people. Say what you want, and a lot of people think that he's crazy, but a lot of people in the black community and the youth of America are listening to Kanye West. They're hearing him.
He's speaking his voice. I do think he's crazy, but I do think that he's making good, valid points that, you can't dismiss him as a crazy person if he's making valid points. Like, I'm like, I shouldn't say I'm against rap music because I grew up on it, but I think that the rap culture really has a lot of things that have degraded our society. They degrade women, promote violence, drugs, and so on and so forth. And it's really, in a lot of ways, it's hurt a lot of things. So I wasn't a fan of his, is what I'm trying to say from an artistic standpoint. But the things that he's saying, I mean, I was actually surprised. He made some comments and he ruffled Ben Shapiro's feathers. Ben Shapiro came out calling him anti-Semitic and so on and so forth. And I didn't hear anything that he said. I mean, he criticized some folks, but they weren't anti-Semitic. And it made me feel like, you know what? It was that time where Trump criticized Rosie O'Donnell for being fat, and everybody was like, oh, he's being misogynist. No, he wasn't criticizing all women as being fat. He just criticized one fat lady, because she apparently threw some punches at him, and he swings back twice as hard. So I feel like they're trying to do the same thing with Kanye West. Oh, he said something against somebody, so now that must mean he's saying it against the entire community. No.
Right. I'm actually Jewish myself. I was bar mitzvahed, so I grew up with the Jewish culture. And I heard what Kanye said when he said he was going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, which, when you say you're going to go DEFCON 3 on a group of people, it does sound a little bit negative. But the bottom line is Jewish people tend to own a lot of companies in this country, right? The Jewish culture is save your money, invest your money, build a business, be an entrepreneur, go to college, get your degree, get high income fields. It's what the Jewish culture kind of encourages and promotes. And to acknowledge that and be like, well, Jews own a lot of things. How is it anti-Semitic? That's the thing I don't get. I just feel like anytime you mention Jewish people or Israel, they just say, anti-Semitic. Yeah. And I'm like, acknowledging the success of a community is not anti-anything. It's just the reality. And, they do it with Trump. They called him racist while ignoring, he also makes fun of a lot of white people too. So it's like Trump just makes fun of everybody equally, which isn't racist. It makes him an asshole, but not racist. And there's a big difference between those two things. Big difference. I'd rather be an asshole than racist. They did the
same thing with that actress. What was her name? Gina Caramo. Yeah, Caramo. They did the same thing with her. And she wasn't even insulting anybody. She just made a comparison.
Exactly. And it's really disgusting what they do, and it's part of their like their rule book. Just throw any ism at us, any racist, misogynist, and transphobic, all those words they throw at us, and it's just like at some point it doesn't mean much anymore. People have called me a Nazi, and I'm like, I've had relatives die in the Holocaust. How am I a Nazi? People call me a racist. It's like I'm Mexican. People say, "Oh, you're a racist for being against the border." I'm an immigrant, so it's like you just have all these bullshit words that the left uses on us, and more than half the time, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know if you saw my video that went viral, but some guy in the street walked past me. He called me a fascist.
Oh yeah, when you were in New York City, right? Yeah, I did see.
Yeah, he called me a fascist. So I called him a pedophile.
You were like, I could throw out names too.
Yeah, that was my point, though. My point is like, yo, you don't even know what you're like saying. I don't really know anything about the guy. I don't know who he is. But a lot of people said his reaction definitely had some weird energy, like almost like he got caught. Like when I called him a pedo, it's almost like he's like, I just sent you the link if you want to pull that up.
Oh yeah, let me.
That was crazy, man. I was surprised I said that when it came out of my mouth. I was like, "What are you doing, man?" All right, there's really no left triggers. Fascist, racist, pedophile. I can call you things too. Back it up. Who had the medical mandates? Who are the medical mandates? Your president. That's fascism. My body, my choice, right?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's great.
That's hysterical.
But it caught him off guard, right? Because it's like not common. Like, it's just so random to be called a pedophile. It caught him off guard completely. But, for 2 years, I've been called a racist, a Nazi. It's like, all right, those words mean nothing anymore. Now we got to start using terms that actually get a reaction again.
So and I shared this again in a previous episode, but the first time I got called a racist was in 2015. It was some guy that I knew. I had done a flyer for him. He was part of a group of friends that got together. That's how I met him, and so him and I got into this political debate. So he basically told me, he goes, "You don't like Obama because he's black." I said, well, "Wait a minute, you're insinuating that I'm racist." I don't like Obama because I don't like his policies. And if you're implying that I'm a racist, then how does my racism work when I'm voting for Dr. Ben Carson? This was obviously before Dr. Ben Carson pulled out of the race. And so how do you say that I'm racist because I don't like Obama, but then I'm voting for Dr. Carson? I guess I can turn on my racism like a light switch then.
Right.
So that was
Right.
my first time interacting with these BS claims, and I realized from that moment forward that the left uses the race card as a tactic to shut us up.
Absolutely. And you know what? It doesn't work anymore, because now if they call you racist, just call them a groomer or pedophile, because, even if that person does not engage in that kind of stuff, a lot of the left platform is child abusive, right? You have drag shows for kids, which are very highly sexualized. You have gender affirming care, which is in a lot of times mutilation of genitals or sterilization. They're doing mastectomies on teen girls, cutting off their breasts. To me, that is child abuse, right? You have school books that are graphically depicting sex in these like little cartoon books, whatever they have. I mean, it's just really it's bizarre stuff. And when you call them a pedophile or a groomer, there actually is some kind of logic behind it when they're voting for those policies. I mean, even AOC at the event yesterday was talking about how she supports gender affirming care. And that was the first time in her the town hall she was giving where the audience kind of gave a very visible, oh God, kind of reaction. But then you had all the liberals that were trying to drown out the boos with their cheers and celebration. It's like, you guys realize what you're celebrating and cheering for is genital mutilation? They think it's normal. They think that it's something good for the youth.
It's this twilight movement that I can't, like I tell my wife all the time, I feel like I'm in a different planet. I don't know, I feel like we stepped into like a black hole and we came out through an alternate reality, because up is down and down is up, and hey, I feel like whatever today. I don't really comprehend it, but here's, I want to give you my thoughts on should GOP Republicans take back the House and the Senate. I think the first thing, and this I'm going to give credit to my oldest son, or my middle son, excuse me, Kevin, because I had my orders reversed, and he said, Dad, you know what? I think that's good, but I think this is more important. And he talked about the investigation of corruption in the FBI and the DOJ and the CIA and all this stuff. And I said, you know what, son, you got a great point, because we cannot operate this country knowing that there's a bias from our justice system, right? That there's a bias from our law enforcement. We cannot have these guys being an extension of any political party whatsoever. So in order to get some type of order back, if you will, and trust back into the system, right, we need an investigation against these institutions and weed out anybody who's biased, anybody who should not be or has an animus towards Republicans or conservatives or Christians. You need to be gone, because that's not what your job is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen with the Biden administration. I don't think that it's going to happen, because they probably love the power. They probably love the fact that they can go after anyone they disagree with right now. And then, the thing is, when Trump or DeSantis comes in 2024, they might fire all the, crazy leftists within those organizations, but then they might implant right-wing types of people. And I mean, I don't want that either. Like you said, I don't think that it should be going in that direction. And that's the thing about conservatives versus liberals, right? We're kind of like, we want free speech for everyone. Whether you're leftist or right, we want to protect free speech, but they want us censored and they want to keep free speech. Same thing here. It would probably benefit us if we had a weaponized DOJ to the right wing, but we don't want that. We'd rather just have fairness across the board for everybody. And I think the best example in modern days, like BLM versus January 6th. Why were BLM rioters allowed to firebomb, Molotov cocktail federal courthouses, police vehicles? These are very deadly, potentially fatal things that they were doing. And January 6th was a lot of pushing, shoving, definitely a riot. But why are they in jail 2 years later? And these BLM activists that have firebombed police cars, Molotov cocktails, are free people. There's a complete two-tier justice system, and it's pretty scary.
It is.
It
And
really
that's
is.
And that's why we need these folks to get in there and be like, hey, we got a clean house, one way or another, because we can't keep functioning like this. It's just not cool for the president's son to lie on a gun form, right, which is a federal offense, and he goes scot-free because Secret Service is covering for him or the FBI is covering. We can't. It's not right.
That's right. And right now people are being deplatformed left and right. I mean, Kanye just got debanked from Chase Bank. They kicked him off. You have gays against groomers. They just got deplatformed on PayPal. You have Sydney Watson. She got thrown off PayPal and Patreon. And so these companies are deplatforming us with the flip of a switch. And, at this point, as my YouTube channel grows, I mean, right now I'm at like 44,000 subs, right? But as I grow and become more influential, when I start to reach 100 or 250,000 subs, who knows? They might flip me off too. They might go, all right, you've reached a certain point of success. You're making an impact.
You're done.
Flip the switch.
They'll find any excuse. You're done.
It's crazy. And it's just like, like I have literally not done anything wrong. January 6th, I was there. Did I go to the Capitol? No. Did I push and shove police? No. What did I do? I wore my Trump hat. I brought my vlogging camera. I walked around. I was vlogging, never got within 100 yards of the Capitol. I was even probably further than that, to be honest. What did I do wrong that day? I was a peaceful, my dogs were there with me. I was a peaceful demonstrator, just there to support Trump, there to support my country. And who knows, maybe they're going to look in 2 years and be like, now you're debanked because we found out you were there. It's like, who knows at this point what they're going to do? Who knows? So look, I'm not going to live scared at this point. As you know, I'm dealing with kidney failure. That's scary enough shit to deal with. And as a matter of fact, the fact that I'm dealing with kidney failure has in a lot of ways empowered me now to be more, I don't want to say aggressive, but to be more, strong in my beliefs about what I'm standing for, which is why I want to go out to the Upper East Side again with my Trump flag again and do the same thing. And, they can bring the insults at me all they want. I don't really care anymore because I'm dealing with a battle far greater than this in terms of my health. Health, as you know, is the number one thing in the world for all of us. If you don't have health, nothing else makes sense. So to me, my health is the priority right now. And I'm going to plug my website. I have a website called getyourbloodchecked.com. And it really just catalogs my journey that I'm going through. It also has a lab finder. So if you haven't got your blood checked, you could type in your zip code and it'll show you a lot of labs in your area that will actually check your blood for you. So I just encourage everybody who's watching this, check your blood, because if you are a right winger, if you are a Republican, if you're a conservative, we need you healthy so that you can hit the ground, so you could fight, so you can vote, not fight physically, guys. We got to be careful with that word, but you can fight peacefully, periodically for the country. So everyone's got to take care of their health first, and then the rest is going to follow.
Amen. And we're praying for you, and we're pulling for you, man. And we hope that everything comes out good. Luckily, you're, like we were talking before we started recording, right? You're young, so we're hoping that that helps a good amount and gives you the time that you need, right?
I hope so, man. And look, right now it's 12:51 a.m. here in New York, and I think it's the same time for you in Florida. And guess where I'm going right now? I'm going to be going to the gym. I got to go get a little more caffeine in me and a little espresso, and I'm going to do back and shoulders today, so I can keep my health up. Because I always tell people, as long as I can make it to the gym and I can make it out on the streets and interview people, I know that I'm doing okay mentally and physically. So it's very important for me to hit the gym just so that I know my body is still able to, do some pretty cool shit.
Well, before I let you go, I want to finish with two more things. The two things that or the other additional things is after the investigation of these institutions, we need 2020 investigation. We need to find out what really happened.
Well, according to YouTube community guidelines, because this is going on YouTube, there is no evidence of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. So let's give that disclaimer. According to YouTube community guidelines, we love you, YouTube. We love you. I think calling for an investigation, I think is totally fair within the guidelines. What I'm saying is, let's investigate. Investigate. There's nothing wrong with that, because I say to this day, instead of blocking the court cases, wouldn't it have just made sense for everyone to be on board with the investigations? So that way we could have put everything to rest.
Correct. That way you could have given comfort and assurance to the audience, to the people, and said, look, I know what it seemed like, but here is what actually happened. Relax. Don't worry about it. Nothing fishy. That's what I would have liked to have seen, but I didn't see that.
I mean, look, the courts that threw out the cases, because most of the cases got thrown out, they didn't get thrown out for the merits. They got thrown out for standing. And that is the issue. We would have liked the courts to judge on the merits. And that way we could have put this issue to bed and moved on and been like, all right, fair and square. But we didn't get that. And now if we say anything about it, we get in trouble. So it's a really shitty situation to put us in, because in my opinion, our thoughts and beliefs should be covered under the First Amendment. We should be allowed to share these thoughts on platforms.
It should, especially since they've been questioning it since, what was it, 2000?
Yeah, since 2000, I think this all started. And the bottom line is, look, again, no evidence of widespread voter fraud ever, right? All elections have been secure and fair. I just want to make sure that YouTube understands we're saying that. But how long has any of this stuff been going on for? We don't know. One of the creepiest things I heard was, George Bush and George Bush Sr. I didn't realize this, but I think their great grandfather, forgot his name, but he was also a Bush. He was part of the Federal Reserve Bank being created in 1912, whatever year that was. Isn't that crazy that like 90 years later, his descendants were president and then president again? Like, think about that. That's like really, really weird.
That's how elitists work.
Well, it makes me realize, and it made me realize, it was a big red pill moment for me, that like a lot of these successful families, they like most people, right? Like, at least for me, I plan probably year to year in my life. Like, this year I'm going to accomplish this. Next year I'm going to accomplish that. I feel like a lot of these elitists, they plan out 100 years at a time.
They have the resources too.
They have the long term. They have exactly. So they don't think about just tomorrow, the next year. They think about their great grandchildren, because they have the option. They have the resources. So I think it's crazy.
Last thing I want to touch on is the Dr. Lie a lot. I think he needs to be investigated.
Again, we got to be careful about this, because YouTube has very strict guidelines about, the C letter word. But I think that there's a lot of breadcrumbs that have been left that does require that does warrant an investigation about to what really happened.
Well, I think it was Senator Rand Paul that told the NIH, you better not delete anything.
And I'm going to stand by this today. And this is actually, we can say this on the YouTube guidelines. I still believe that it was made in a lab. And I will always believe that until firm proof comes out otherwise, which hasn't. I believe that the virus could have spread in the wet market, but that doesn't mean that's where it came from. That's just kind of where patient A went from the lab and then spread it there. Still didn't come from a lab. The only question that I have is, was it done on purpose or was it accidental? And my gut tells me it was done on purpose. That's
my only question. Was it accidental or was it on purpose? I'm with you though.
That's my gut.
I think gut-wise, I think it was done intentionally, because it's pretty interesting that the good old doctor said in 2017 that Trump or this administration would get hit with a surprise, right?
He said surprise pandemic. And how would you know that? If you know that, then it's not a surprise. It's not like he said, we're anticipating a pandemic, we're due for one. He said the president's going to deal with a surprise infection like it was a fact. Creepy stuff, man. Creepy stuff.
I agree. Well, listen, Adam, thank you so much for coming onto our channel, man. I really enjoy your content, and it's been an honor having you here. Thanks for taking the time, right? Like I said, we're praying for your condition. Hope everything works out, right, little by little, and sooner than later, obviously. So, man, big hug. Wish you all the best, brother. Anything you want to say on your closing remarks?
So I'll be in Florida probably in the next 1 or 2 months, and we got to do a collaboration in person. I'm pretty connected out in Florida with a lot of the content creators like Paint the Trump. I have some friends over at the Stu Peters Network, and we're definitely going to do a collaboration when I get down there. And I think that Ray Studios said he's going to be in Florida in January, February, in Tampa area. So maybe we'll all get together. We'll do some kind of crazy collaboration. Maybe do some crazy flag wave, trigger some liberals. I don't know. But I really do appreciate this time. And just so everyone knows, you guys could find me. Just type in Adam Francisco on pretty much every platform, and you'll be able to find my channel.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, definitely get together when you come down, whether it be 2 months or when Ray comes. That'll be awesome, because Ray's coming with Osiris, and my brother-in-law also. He's actually doing this with me. He's just taking some time off for scheduling purposes and work. But that would be awesome if we could all get together and just trigger the heck out of somebody, right?
Maybe even go on a casino run in the Tampa Hard Rock. There's a nice casino over there, and they give me free rooms because of my previous play. So maybe we could spend a few nights at the Hard Rock down in Tampa.
Nice. Awesome, brother. Well, hey, man, thanks so much, man. God bless you, brother.
God bless you, and most importantly, God bless Trump.
Amen. God bless Trump. God bless America. Take care, buddy.
That's right. See you, man.